Now I am absolutely honored to bring to the stage this next guest, Rebekka Matthews, my fellow social worker sister. Woo woo! I'm just so proud of the growth in everything that you're doing. Rebekka's presentation is Unstoppable You, Choose Your Legacy. And just a little bit about Rebekka with a double K in there. She's a licensed therapist at Move Forward Counseling, LLC, and part of a senior leadership in the mental health service line as Service Access Management with over 10 years of experience in mental health field, and she specializes in trauma-informed care. So again, Rebekka is available to speak with, along with myself and Cassie and several other trauma-informed specialists in the room, if any of these things, if any triggers come up. Rebekka is an accomplished author, and I just am excited to hear her presentation of overcoming adversity and everything that she wants to share. Please put your hands together and welcome Rebekka to the stage.
It's really nice. I've come here the last 3 years, and I've seen a lot of new faces that I've never seen here today. So that's really nice to see some new faces. First time up here. Usually I just kind of look around. So this, I'm just going to go ahead and name my emotion because that works for me. I'm nervous, guys. So if you hear my voice crack, no, you didn't. If you see my knees shaking, no, you don't. And if I develop a sweat stash, you don't see that either. Okay. So now that I've named it, we're going to go ahead and get started. I was born here in York. I grew up under the Florida sun, but then somehow I came back here to Pennsylvania, so that's really cool how the whole world goes full cycle and you end up where you're supposed to be. So with that being said, I am also a licensed trauma therapist. I am an author. I love poetry. You're going to hear some of my stuff today. I also did bring a few copies of my book. Jennifer did tell me to get my coin, but I don't write necessarily to make anything off of it, but to help other people heal through the things that they go through too. So if you want to explore some poetry, come see me at some point today. I don't have copies for everybody, but I do have a few copies I'm willing to give out and separate from. So I'm a mom of 3 great kids, 2 that are here today that are hoping I either don't cry or fall down the steps. So that's their wish for today. And both are possible. I am a wife to a deployed soldier currently. I am a hiker, a hobby photographer, chicken lady, I'm obsessed, a crime show junkie, and I'm a crafter of all things. So I also think I hate free time, so I decided this was a great opportunity to go back to school. So I am now in my doctorate program for community care counseling and traumatology. Thanks. And I share all of this with you today because before I ask you to reflect on who you are, I think it's important for you to recognize or know who I am. So before I ask you to reflect on who you are, and most importantly, who you want to be, I wanted to be vulnerable with you as well. But there was a time at 9 that I'd already seen things I shouldn't have seen, that I'd already survived things that nobody should have to. There was a time I didn't speak full sentences until I was 5 because I learned early to not speak out of turn. There was a time when in 1st grade I failed because my trauma was hidden so well because I'm not supposed to speak out of turn, and it was masked so nice and so perfect that I didn't have behaviors. It's easier just to label me as dyslexic or with a learning disability. There was a time when I didn't know if we were going to eat or have lights. There was a time when hands that were supposed to bring comfort brought pain. When the ones that were supposed to protect me brought betrayal. A time when grooming wasn't just a word to learn, but part of my normal. It was a time that I was surviving every single day in what looked like a good Christian household. And before I tell you about being unstoppable, I have to honor the little girl I once was. The little girl who wrote this as she grew up. And I'm going to read this to you, hopefully without crying. I walk in this body like a crime scene. Taped off, warning signs, screaming in silence. Stains I can never scrub away. No matter how hard I try to clean it up, the evidence lingers, soaks into my skin like a brand, smeared into places no one can see. I wonder if they can sense it, if they can smell the fear soaked into my pores or hear the sounds of my bones still breaking beneath my smile. It began when I was 9, too young to understand before why the shadows felt different, why his footsteps made my heart race with terror, not safety. Too young to understand that monsters didn't live under the bed, they lurked in the doorways, pretending to protect you from what was outside when they were the ones to fear. No matter what I did to protect myself, the fear was always there, gnawing at me from inside. It became a part of me, an infection I couldn't shake. I tried to scrub myself clean, but the dirt was too deep. The stains were too stubborn. It's not the body, it's the mind too. Every corner of me felt contaminated, like there was nowhere I could stand that isn't marked by what happened to me. Hoping I can disappear completely if I'm small enough. Because I live in a body that's been invaded, a body that was a battleground before I knew how to fight. I didn't know how to say no. I shouldn't have had to. No one sees the crime scene except me, and maybe they never will. But I wake up every day and I carry a body through the world, pretending it's mine, pretending I'm whole, pretending I'm still not trying to clean up the mess they left behind. All right, so now I want to shift into my therapist role. Now I can talk without feeling the shakes in my voice. So we're going to shift into ACEs. ACEs means adverse childhood experiences. What we're going to do today is a personal self-assessment that you're going to take right in your seats. You don't have to take it. This is optional. But I want to preface that your education and your knowledge are the only thing somebody can't steal from you. So knowledge is power, right? So what you're going to do today is you're going to learn through your own healing journey what this knowledge can do for you. So if you have that notepad in your baggie, there's a pen in there. If you want to use your phone, if you want to do the whole drop a finger, that's fine. All right, I'm going to ask you 10 questions. If that question applies to you, you're going to give yourself a tally. This is an intimate assessment, so please keep your eyes on your own numbers. Don't try to figure out what somebody else's numbers are, okay? For you to receive that tally, it had to have happened to you before the age of 18. Now, this is going to go over 3 different areas: abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. All right, I'm going to go 1, read the question. If you had it, you're going to make a tally. And then I'll say 2 and keep going. So number 1, did a parent or adult in your household ever swear at you, insult you, humiliate you, or act in a way that made you afraid you were going to be hurt? If that happened, give yourself a tally. Number 2, did a parent or adult in your household ever push, grab, slap, hit you, or make an injury? If that happened, give yourself a mark. Did anyone at least 5 years older than you ever touch you inappropriately or force sexual activities? Number 4, did you often feel that no one in your family loved you or thought you were important? Number 5, did you often feel you didn't have enough to eat, had to wear dirty clothes, or lacked protection? Did you live with anyone who was a problem, this is number 6. Did you live with anyone who was a problem drinker or used drugs? Number 7, was a household member depressed, mentally ill, or attempted suicide? Number 8, did a household member go to prison? Number 9, were your parents separated or divorced? and 10. Was your mother or stepmother often grabbed, pushed, or slapped? Those are the 10 questions. So take a moment, tally it up so that you have your number. This is for your awareness. This is for your own understanding. Remember, this isn't about shame of what you had to experience. It's about clarity, education, and empowerment. We're going to go over what that score means, hold it to you, remember it, because we will talk about it. So, as I stand here today, I'm going to continue to be vulnerable with you. I want you to know my ACE score is a 10. So with those numbers, statistically, it would make sense that if I was an addict. It makes sense if I was incarcerated. It makes sense if I wasn't standing here at all because I committed suicide. It would make sense, right? Because early trauma can shape our future, because it changes the way our brain develops. It changes the way we trust people, the way we love people, the way we receive love, the way we cope with things. But hear me when I say this. It does not have to define who you are. Your past may explain you, but it doesn't limit you. Your trauma is part of your story, but it's not the end of your story. We can choose to heal, and we can choose to write a different legacy. Look how cute I was. The picture is my family. So that's my husband, my twins, and my son. All right. So we're going to jump into what your score means. So before we do this, I want to pause, and I just want to say, if you're looking at your score and you're having some kind of feelings, I'm sorry for what you went through. You didn't deserve it, and it wasn't fair. So, with that being said, here's a general way to understand your score. 0 to 3, you're at a lower risk of long-term health problems and social problems. You still will experience stress. We all do, right? And trauma manifests is different for everybody. But if your score is between that 0 to 3, strong protective factors are in your favor for you to live successful without these other barriers. If your score is between 4 and 6, you're at a moderate risk of mental health concerns. And most of the times you see that those people with the scores between 4 and 6 develop things like depression, anxiety, PTSD. With that being said, your greater likelihood of having physical health elements associated with it as well, like high blood pressure. Now, if your score is between 7 and 10, you're at high risk for chronic health problems, substance use, and long-term challenges. But let me be clear, that score does not define you. It doesn't tell the whole story of who you are or who you can become. It gives you the knowledge, the awareness about your experience, and the opportunity to recognize your resiliency for healing. With knowledge being power, this is something that no one can take from you, is understanding it's not my fault for what I went through. It's my responsibility, though, to heal. So I'm going to read you another piece. All right. I wasn't weak because I stayed still. I wasn't less because I didn't scream. My silence wasn't surrender, it was survival. I learned to disappear in plain sight, a body there but spirit gone. I became the night, the dark, the hidden, hoping he'd mistake my breath for sleep. I wasn't fighting with fist, I was fighting with everything else. The only way I knew how, by holding in every tear, every cry, because the world taught me to be small. I didn't ask for this war, but I learned how to play dead. It pretended that monsters weren't real, to keep them from swallowing me whole. It wasn't my fault that I froze, that I stayed quiet in the night. I was just a child. I was just trying to survive. That child that you guys did see, that child right there, she did grow up. I'm super proud of her. But to honor her, I want to read something that is important because we have to honor our past to really move through our experiences and be who we're meant to be. So I wonder sometimes in the quiet of the night, who would I have been if life had been light? If shadows hadn't darkened my earliest years, if innocence hadn't stolen by fear? Who would I have been if I hadn't had to fight, if my childhood wasn't shaped by surviving every night? If hands that should have loved me weren't the ones that caused the pain, if my heart hadn't learned to dance in the rain, if I hadn't been forced to grow up too soon, to carry the weight beneath the pale broken moon, if adult problems hadn't knocked at my door, what kind of child would I have been before? Would I have laughed louder without the edge in my voice? Would I have felt like I had a choice? To be soft, to be free, to just be a kid, not buried under all the things that I did. If I didn't have secrets tucked deep in my chest, would I have known what it felt like to rest? To close my eyes without guarding my heart, to not be torn by being broken apart. Would I have been if I hadn't been used, if my body wasn't something someone else abused? If I hadn't learned to flinch at a touch, would I know love without fearing too much? Would I dance in the sun with my arms open wide instead of shrinking and learning to hide? Would I trust more without living in fear if the world hadn't shattered it so early and so near? I wonder what dreams I would have chased, what joy would have bloomed, what fears I'd erase. If I didn't know hunger, both body and soul, would I feel like somebody who's finally whole? I wonder who I would have been without the scars that lingered within. If I'd known peace, not survival's game, would I have carried a different name? I'll never know that girl unscarred, the one who didn't learn life was so hard. But sometimes I dream, just for a little while, of a version of me who could simply just smile. Who would I have been without all I've seen, without the weight of what might have been? I've never known her, but sometimes I try. I'd imagine her laughter to see her fly. So you cannot change your past, but you can change your future, right? And that's what I did. So, thanks. So, when you choose your legacy, there will be 3 things that I kind of want you guys to take with you. I want you to keep in mind, and we're going to go over those before we end today. But before we jump into that, I need to say something. Healing isn't just about us. It's not just about you. It's not your fault for what you had to survive. It's not your fault for what you had to do. It's not your fault for what you endured. It's your responsibility, though, to heal. So that the people who love you, the people who care about you, the people who are there for you don't have to survive loving you. Don't have to go to therapy for loving the unhealed version of you. So it's your responsibility to heal regardless of what you had to experience. So the first takeaway in choosing your legacy is that awareness. Notice your patterns in your life, your reactions, your habits, your belief that may have roots of your past experiences. Awareness is important. When you see your patterns clearly, you can take the first step in deciding which ones you need to change and which ones you need to transform into strength. This is about understanding yourself. This is not about judging who you are or who you had to be in those moments, right? Awareness gives you the choice. I was a very reactive person, sometimes still can be, very reactive person, and it came out when I became a mother, and that is when my healing really started. I turned myself into a bulldog, right? Like I would throw hands. I will hurt you with my words, my hands. I was going to hurt you before you ever hurt me. I probably suffocated my kids for a while. I didn't let them breathe. They didn't have their first sleepover. And how old were you? Like 10? And it was with their grandparents. Yeah. recognizing your patterns allows you the opportunity to grow through what you've been through, right? Recognizing that wasn't the best version of myself, and that's okay because that's who I needed to be in those moments, but that's not who I am all the time. That's not who I have to be, right? Healing takes responsibility, right? So with that being said, the second key is healing. That is a magnitude of different things. For some, that is going to therapy. It could be finding nature. It could be Jennifer doing all things across the country to support others. Sometimes we heal through healing others, right? It's about finding practices, tools, or outlets that help you process, release, and rebuild. For me, it was therapy, very intense trauma therapy. It was creative outlets such as poetry. It was connecting to the earth. It was a magnitude of different things that all kind of came together for me. And I still have my days, right? As a reminder, if you do like some of this, I do have some copies that I can give out today. Come talk to me after, not while anybody else is speaking. All right. And then third key is choosing to adapt a legacy mindset. Your healing, your growth, your choices you make don't just affect you. They ripple out to everyone around you. The energy you bring into your relationships, your work, your community, your friends, your family, is all shaped by your healing journey. When you commit to your own growth, you create a legacy that benefits the others around you. You leave behind more than just memories. You leave strength, love, and presence. My kids will not have to go to therapy because of me. One more. Maybe. In my daughter's eyes, I see life more free. All the things I once dreamed of, I could be. They run with joy, unburdened by fear. In their eyes, my hurt. In their eyes, the hurt of my past disappears. Their laughter echoes in places I once cried. Their eyes find peace where I was denied. Confident and strong, a fearless heart. In their eyes, I heal the broken parts. In their eyes, I see the life I never knew, the freedom, the love, the chance to start new. They carry a light that was once dimmed in me. In their eyes, I find what it means to be free. Their world is safer, their heart is wide. In their eyes, my pain is pushed aside. They live with dreams I had to hide. In their eyes, my soul is revived. The life I wish for, now alive and bright. In their eyes, everything feels right. They heal what I thought time had erased. In their eyes, I find my own grace. So, I know my grandmother doesn't know how to use a QR code, so. First I want to say I really appreciate you guys being with me as I kind of chuckle, or what is it called, choke on my words sometimes through emotion. So I appreciate you being gentle with me. During your healing, I want to make sure that you recognize I need to give myself the same grace I'm willing to give others. There's so many times where we can be our biggest critic, our worst bully. In a world willing to beat you up for free, please don't be one of them. Please give yourself the same grace you're willing to give somebody else, and you don't have to be perfect or the best version of yourself today because there's tomorrow. Amen. Right? So thank you. I'm honored that I was able to share my story or pieces of my story with you today. We'd be here all day if I had the floor. But I want you to recognize, or at least leave here today with some tools on how to choose your own legacy. If you don't know how to use this QR code, please just open your camera. You point your camera at it, it will take you straight to my Amazon cart if you're willing to buy that book. All right, so enough of me pitching. That was for you, Jennifer, wherever you are. The next thing is I want to leave, before we wrap up, for a way for you to stay connected if you'd like. You can also pull out your camera with a QR code and get right to my LinkedIn. You can follow me there, you can message me there, and my email is also there. So if you're interested in reaching out, I am a trauma therapist. I'm not in this field to make money because I joke all the time that I would be a really great actress. I'm just really good at being a broke therapist. So there's that. But you can find me here. You can email me. You can also text me. I'm always open to helping somebody else heal. I really appreciate you. I hope that you recognize by the end of today that your past does not define who you are and that you truly can be unstoppable with the right mindset.
Yes!